Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to explain to you, as a Swedish guy, I've lived in Sweden since I was 18 years old. I'm currently, what am I, 30 something, 35, my god, soon 35, Jesus Christ. So I want to explain to you why Tesla is probably wrong in this conflict and why they should just sign a union agreement in Sweden. And this has actually nothing to do with Tesla. It's a cultural thing, and many people don't understand the conflict that is happening in Tesla. And I don't blame them. It's a very, very Swedish thing. It's very hard to understand from the outside. So I'm going to do my best to shortly explain it to you, and so you get a Swedish guy's take on this thing. So Sweden has a very special model that is called the Swedish work model. This is basically a website that explains it. So I just want to read it to you what it says in Swedish. So it says that the Swedish work model is a sustainable, adjustable model that creates security in changes. It gives you peace of work. It gives you sustainable work for a long time, democratic participation on your workplace, and it has supported a high social trust in Sweden. The Swedish work model, or the Swedish model as it's also called, means that the work marketplace's partners, which is the unions and the employers, make rules about the salaries, the conditions of work, the work safety environment, the circumstances, the pensions and insurances, and much more that is adjusted to the branch that this collective avtal, I'm just trying to translate also from Swedish, so that this union contract is from. So the laws give a framework in which the partners have a huge freedom to come to agreement between each other. I'm just going to make it simpler now. And you can negotiate about these contracts both on centrally or on very local level. And these union contracts, the content and how they are formed is very, very different. But the state has no say in what goes into these contracts. So the key takeaway from this is, in Sweden, the government said that we don't want to tell companies how to employ people. So instead of blank saying that everybody in Sweden has a $10 minimum wage, they didn't say this. They said, to stay competitive. And I think it's very smart if you think about it. They said, to stay competitive, what we do instead is that we allow work unions. So every work branch, so for example, mechanics, dentists, actors, all of them have unions, and they all have different requirements. And obviously, a dentist should be paid more than a cleaner, so a cleaner can have a different contract than a dentist. And they are even saying that these contracts can be negotiated centrally, so that all the dentists go into one contract, or you can have a local agreement. But the point is that the government doesn't tell you how much you have to pay the workers, doesn't tell you how much vacation time you give, how much paid vacation time you give, how much pension you give. And basically the biggest beef that the Swedes have, or the reason why the union contract is considered so important in Sweden, is one of the reasons is because of the pension. So I have to show you how the Swedish pension system works. And it's a very interesting pension system, and it has three parts. So part number one is the national pension that you're basically guaranteed by the government if you work 40 years of your life. I'm not going to go into the boring details, but the point is you're going to die on this. So this pension is don't quote me on this, but it's something like $1,000 a month. And basically your rent and food is going to cost you more than this in the current environment. So it's death. If you have this, it's like you're not going to make it. And then there is two other parts of the pension system. And this middle part is the pension that your employer pays into your, I guess you could say it's like the Swedish 401k. I don't know if you can say it. It's like a different system, but it's basically paid by your employer. But the government is not mandating that this has to be paid. So if you are employed by a small company that doesn't have a union contract, then you basically get effed on your pension because they are not going to pay this middle part, or they're going to pay very little into this middle part, and you're only going to get your government pension. This top part is your own savings that you save up for your pension. And because the government pension is so low in Sweden, it's not what you hear on TV, right? Bernie Sanders doesn't talk about it, that the Swedish government pension is like jack nothing. And basically your employer has to pay into your account to have it like even meaningful. And if you want to have a really good pension, the government is telling you, you need to save and be responsible, and that's the only way you will have a good pension. So this might have been a bit boring, but it was very important to know. And I want to show you how many different unions there are in Sweden. And in many cases, your company can choose to join because, you can be part of, you would fit into many different kind of unions, and you can choose. In some cases, as far as I understand, Tesla cannot really choose which union they want to be part of because they are in a certain branch. But this is like, for example, a painters union. This is the police union. This is the leaders union. I don't even know what they do. This is the teachers union. This is also another teachers union. This is the EF Metal. This is the one that Tesla has the beef with. So what have we gotten so far? So the Swedish employment system is basically based on unions negotiating with companies. And if you are doing business in Sweden, and you're not a small company, meaning you're not a mom and pop shop, you're a serious company, you are expected to have a collective agreement. And that is because otherwise your workers are not considered safe, and you can fire them at any moment. You're not paying into their pension. And basically these union contracts, they give a minimum. So you can pay, because Tesla said that they don't want a contract because their people are already getting paid higher than what the union says that they should be paid, right? And this is allowed per union contract. So this is another reason why I think it's very stupid that Tesla doesn't just agree to a union contract. But I want you to understand it from a cultural perspective. So when you're a big company, you are expected to be part of a union because it's considered that that's when you're treating your people correctly and you're following the norms of the society. And if you feel that your contract is too rigid, you can locally negotiate what's in the contract to make sure that this union is, keeping your company competitive. It's actually a very sane and good system if you think about it. So what happened with Tesla? So basically, this is a Swedish article that in 5 steps explains that this EF Metal has been negotiating with Tesla for about 5 years, if I read it correctly. And basically Tesla stood up and left and said that we don't want to have any union contract. And basically this pissed off this EF Metal union. And because, again, I really want you to understand that this is a cultural thing. So imagine if you are naked in Africa. You're an African and you think that it's okay to walk around on the street naked. And then you go to the US. And then you walk around naked, and then the police comes, and you go like, this is insane. Like, what do you have to do with this? And then the police says, yeah, but you're in the US, and here we wear clothes. That's the social norm. This is a little bit what's happening in Sweden. And because Tesla said this to this EF Metal union, that they don't want to write a contract, the EF Metal went on a strike. And then Tesla still didn't budge. And then basically the other unions started to also strike because in their viewpoint, and if you take surveys, a huge portion of Swedish society agrees with this, it threatens the whole Swedish model, because this is the whole reason why the model exists, and that's why the government doesn't go in and tell how you need to, do with your people, because you're supposed to negotiate with the unions. And so this is why there is other companies now that are sabotaging Tesla, and basically the Post has a union, and they decided to go on a sympathy strike with this EF Metal, and they stopped delivering Tesla's mail. Then there was the car painters union, who decided to not service Tesla cars, any cars that has Tesla logo on it. And then there is the electrician union, who also went on the sympathy strike, and they said that we are not servicing Tesla superchargers because they don't go with a union contract. So I just want to show you, there is a, here, this is a biased article. I actually try to find what Tesla says about the strike. This is an actual article from EF Metal. So these are the guys who are attacking Tesla. And I just want to show you what they say. So here they are saying, so does Tesla's argument stand up against the union contract? And here they're saying what, in their opinion, Tesla is saying. So it says that for some companies, the union contract is not flexible enough. So if something is flexible, it's exactly the union contract, because instead of the government telling you, written in steel how you have to treat your employees, we chose another method in Sweden. Here, the union is negotiating with the employer, where lawyers and experts make a contract that is for just that branch. And I agree with this, even though, again, this is coming from the one that is attacking Tesla. And I'm a right-leaning guy, okay? So, but again, you have to understand how Sweden works. Tesla doesn't have to sign a union contract. It's, what do you call it? It's volunteer that you do it. It's correct that it's volunteer and not mandatory to sign a union contract. But if you actively choose to not adjust yourself to the Swedish model, then you need to get consequences. So the unions can take, basically strike, which they have the right to, and then Tesla has the right to go against this. The employees of Tesla should get a worse, they will get a worse contract if they go with the union contract. So it says that the first argument is that the union contract is a floor, so it tells you the minimums that you have to do and is not a roof. And then basically it explains this, that without the union agreement, Tesla can fire all the employees tomorrow and they don't need to pay anything to the employees, and this makes it that they don't create a safe work environment. And if they just sign the union agreement, they wouldn't. It's not that the employees would get less pay; it's that they are just agreeing to follow the Swedish norms. And then it says that the union is using. I'm just reading the ones that can be important. The union is using mafia methods. And then it says that those that compare what we do, which is supported by the Constitution, to organized crime, it just shows how much they don't know about this. Thanks to our union model, we have peace. So basically what they mean here is that once the union has made an agreement with the company, they're not allowed to strike anymore. And if you look at, for example, France and other countries where there is like 200-day strike of all different unions for whatever reasons in a year, Tesla has barely any strikes, and when they happen, it's on the world stage. Okay, so then here comes a very interesting write-up from the Tesla Sweden Owners Club, 1 month with the conflict. And basically, this is going to be very interesting and shows you how tough this is, right? Because it's true that you don't have to go with a volunteer, union contract, just as you don't have to wear clothes in the US. There isn't a law, I guess, that says you're not allowed to walk around naked, but you still don't do it because it culturally doesn't fit. So it says, he says that if you get upset on this, don't read further, because you're just going to be butthurt. But here is 4 facts in this conflict. So it's completely on your own volition to sign a union contract in Sweden. If Tesla doesn't want to, they don't need to sign. The EF Metal and the other unions have the right to do the strike that they're doing and to do the blockades and to create conflict with Tesla. It's not against the law to try to stop the strikes in Sweden. And the fact if Tesla's employees want to have this contract or not doesn't have anything to do with anything. So then he says that if you're upset about these facts, don't read it, because your blood pressure is just going to go up. And he's saying that they have done surveys where basically Tesla employees don't want the union contract and they're very happy with Tesla. But you have to understand that it has nothing to do with the Tesla employees. It's that the nation is upset that this can potentially upset the Swedish model. And then if Tesla doesn't go with the union contract, then there is other companies that can, for example, Amazon, Spotify, that can just come in here and, do as they want, and it completely threatens the model. And so my honest opinion, if you ask me, is that I think the strike is completely overdriven, like it's done too much, and it's insane the effect to which it was taken. But I also think that Tesla is violating the norms of the country. Like there is this saying, if you're in Rome, act like the Romans. And the unions in Sweden is not the same as in the US. I hope I managed to give this over to you. And it is part of the Swedish system. And if you want to do business in Sweden and you're a big serious company, then you should be part of a union agreement. And if you don't like the union agreement, then renegotiate so that it matches you, and then just check that box off so that you can say that you're part of a union, and then end of cycle, life goes on and everybody's happy. So I hope this video was helpful. It's not the usual video, but let me know in the comments if this gave any value. Please make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to support the channel, I have a Patreon link in the description box below, where if you support it, currently it's a pure donation, but what I'm going to do with my Patreon is upload all the stocks that I'm following. Currently it's Palantir and Rocket Lab, Tesla, Shopify, Airbnb, and some other companies. And I write out my thesis. You will be able to see my pricing models on them and when I would buy these companies. And currently I only hold 2 companies, Palantir and Rocket Lab. So that's the future. But if you go there, don't expect anything. It's a pure donation. I think within a few weeks, these things are going to be up. So if you go there and join, it's like you buy me a coffee, and I'm very happy. Thank you. But it's completely not expected that you would do it. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.